Mia Carter wiped the sweat off her forehead and forced a smile as she set down a steaming plate of scrambled eggs in front of a grumpy old man. "Here you go, sir. Enjoy." The man grunted in response, barely acknowledging her presence. It was just another day at Maplewood Diner, a rundown little restaurant on the outskirts of town where Mia had been working for the past 3 years. She glanced at the clock, still 3 more hours until her shift ended. Her feet ached, her back was sore, and the weight of her unpaid rent and overdue bills pressed against her chest like an invisible force trying to crush her. At 26, Mia's life had become a cycle of exhaustion. She had dreams, once big ones, but dreams didn't pay the bills, and neither did a college degree when you couldn't afford tuition to finish. She sighed, grabbing a coffee pot to refill cups as she weaved through the packed diner. That's when she saw him, a man in a navy blue suit, sitting alone at the corner booth. He had a sharp, unreadable expression, his fingers tapping idly on the table. Something about him made Mia's stomach twist in unease. She walked over, pad in hand. "Good morning, sir. What can I get you?" The man looked up, his piercing gray eyes locking onto hers. He hesitated before speaking. "I'll have black coffee, and whatever you recommend." Mia frowned slightly. No one ever asked for her recommendation. But she nodded, jotting it down. "Coming right up." As she turned to leave, she swore she felt his gaze lingering on her. She didn't know it yet, but that man would change her life forever. Mia brought the man his coffee and a plate of pancakes with strawberries, a choice she made on impulse. "You look like someone who needs something sweet," she joked lightly as she set the plate down. To her surprise, the man chuckled, a small smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "Maybe I do," he said. Mia watched as he picked up his fork and took a slow, deliberate bite. "So you from around here?" she asked, curious. The man shook his head. "Just passing through." Something about the way he said it made Mia feel like there was more to the story, but she didn't press. Customers had their secrets, she had her own. But as she walked away, she had a strange feeling she would be seeing him again. And she was right. The man returned the next day, and the day after that. Always sitting in the same booth. Always ordering coffee. Always staring at her like he knew something she didn't. And then, one day, he left her something that made her heart stop. A $1 million check. Mia stood frozen, her fingers trembling as she stared at the check on the table. Her first thought was that it had to be a joke. No one left $1 million tip. She snatched the check off the table, her breath hitching. It had the man's name on it. Jonathan Mercer. "Wait," she spun around, scanning the diner, but he was gone. Her manager, a gruff woman named Linda, appeared beside her. "Something wrong?" Mia opened her mouth, then closed it. What was she supposed to say? That a stranger had just handed her more money than she'd ever seen in her life. She shoved the check into her apron pocket, her heart pounding. Who was Jonathan Mercer? And why had he done this? Mia barely slept that night. She sat at her tiny kitchen table, staring at the check under the dim glow of her only working lamp. If it was real, this money could change everything. She could pay her rent, clear her debts, maybe even go back to school. But why her? And what if it wasn't real? The next morning, she went to the bank. Her hands shook as she handed the check to the teller. The woman's eyes widened. "Give me a moment, please." Mia's stomach clenched as the teller disappeared into the back. Minutes passed. Then the manager came out, his face unreadable. "Miss Carter, would you mind coming with me?" Mia swallowed hard. Something wasn't right. The manager led Mia into a private office and closed the door. "This check is legitimate," he said, his voice careful. "But I need to ask, how do you know Jonathan Mercer?" Mia's heart pounded. I don't. He was just a customer at the diner." The manager's frown deepened. "Miss Carter, Jonathan Mercer is a billionaire. And he's been missing for years." Mia's breath caught. Missing? Her hands went cold as she thought back to the man in the booth. His sharp gaze. His quiet, almost sad demeanor. Who was he really? And why had he chosen her? Mia left the bank with the check clutched in her shaking hands. Jonathan Mercer. A billionaire. A missing billionaire. The words rang in her ears like an alarm. She needed answers. Back at the diner, she pulled out her phone and searched his name. Dozens of articles popped up. Tech mogul Jonathan Mercer disappears without a trace, family left in the dark. The mystery of Jonathan Mercer, runaway tycoon or something more sinister? Billionaire's fortune remains untouched. Where did he go? Mia scrolled through photos of him at charity events, corporate galas, shaking hands with world leaders. The same man who sat in her booth. Who drank her coffee. Why had he chosen her? Then something caught her eye. A comment under one of the articles. Jonathan Mercer isn't missing. He just doesn't want to be found. A chill ran down her spine. What had she just gotten herself into? That night, Mia had trouble sleeping. Every shadow outside her apartment window felt darker. Every creak of the floor made her pulse spike. Around midnight, her phone buzzed. A blocked number. She hesitated before answering. Hello? Silence. Then a low voice. Don't cash that check. Mia's blood ran cold. Who is this? She whispered. The line went dead. Her hands trembled as she pulled the phone away from her ear. She wasn't just dealing with a missing billionaire anymore. She was being watched. The next day, Mia returned to the diner, half expecting Jonathan Mercer to be sitting in his usual booth. But he wasn't. Instead, a sleek black car was parked across the street. The tinted windows made it impossible to see who was inside. Mia's stomach twisted. She needed to find Mercer. But where? Then she remembered his order. Always the same. Coffee black. Pancakes with strawberries. It wasn't just random. It was familiar. Mia searched again, this time for Mercer Plus Diner. An old photo surfaced. A much younger Jonathan Mercer, sitting in a diner that looked eerily similar to Maplewood. A woman beside him. Mia's heart stopped. The woman looked exactly like her. Mia's hands shook as she zoomed in on the image. The woman had the same dark hair. The same tired eyes. The same sad smile. Her mother. Heart pounding, Mia dug through old boxes in her apartment, pulling out a faded photograph. Her mother, in her 20s. She had worked at a diner. Was it this diner? Had she known Jonathan Mercer? Mia grabbed her phone and called the only person who might have answers. Her estranged father. The phone rang twice before a groggy voice answered. Mia? Dad, she whispered. Did Mom know Jonathan Mercer? Silence. Then a slow inhale. Mia, there's something you should know. Her fingers tightened around the phone. Jonathan Mercer was in love with your mother. Mia's breath hitched. What? Her father sighed. Before she met me, before you were born, they were together. He wanted to marry her, but his family didn't approve. They forced him to leave her behind. Mia's throat tightened. But why? Why would he leave me $1 million? Her father's voice turned quiet. Because Mia, he's your real father. Mia felt like the floor had disappeared beneath her. Jonathan Mercer. The billionaire. The missing man. Her father. Her mind raced. Was this money his way of making up for lost time? A way to fix what had been broken? Or was it a message? A final goodbye? She had to find him. And she knew exactly where to start. Mia sat in a dimly lit cafe, hands wrapped around a cup of coffee. The note had arrived that morning. No signature. Just an address. And a time. At exactly 8 p.m., the seat across from her shifted. Jonathan Mercer. Up close, he looked older than the pictures. Tired. Worn. But his gray eyes still held that same intensity. You found me, he said quietly. Mia's heart pounded. Why did you leave the money? A pause. Because I failed you. And this is the only way I know how to make it right. Jonathan told her everything. How he had fought for her mother. How his powerful family had threatened to destroy her life if he didn't walk away. How he had watched from afar as Mia grew up, knowing he could never be part of her world. I wanted to do more, he whispered. But I was a coward. Mia's throat tightened. She had spent years thinking she was invisible, unimportant. And yet this man, her father, had been watching over her all along. But money couldn't erase the past. And now she had a choice. Take the money and walk away. Or finally have the father she never knew. Jonathan reached into his pocket and pulled out another check. This isn't just money, he said. It's a way out. A fresh start. No more struggling. Mia stared at the paper. $10 million. She could leave her old life behind. Never work another shift at the diner. Never worry about rent again. But it also meant walking away. From him. From the chance to know the truth. Keep it, she said, pushing the check back. Jonathan's eyes widened. I don't need your money, she whispered. I just need to know, do you regret leaving? Jonathan's face crumpled. Every day, he whispered. And for the first time, Mia saw the truth. Money couldn't buy what she really wanted. A father. Mia didn't take the money. Instead, she took a step forward. Jonathan wasn't perfect. He had made mistakes. But so had she. And maybe, just maybe, they could start again. Not as a billionaire and a waitress. Not as a man with regrets and a girl with nothing. But as father and daughter. The way it should have been all along. And for the first time in her life, Mia didn't feel poor. She felt whole. What would you have done in Mia's shoes? Would you take the money and walk away, or choose the chance to rebuild a lost relationship? Stories like these remind us that wealth isn't always about money. It's about the connections we make, the truths we uncover, and the choices that define us. If this story moved you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear it, drop a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that will shock, inspire, and keep you on the edge of your seat.